What if I told you that the secret to transforming your life isn't found in the latest self-help trend, but in wisdom that's over 2,000 years old? Welcome back to Daily Stoic Insights, where ancient philosophy meets modern living. Before we dive into these life-changing habits, I want you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because this content could genuinely transform how you approach every single day. And here's why I'm asking. When you subscribe, you're not just helping this channel grow, you're helping spread timeless wisdom that could change someone else's life too. So please, take that small action right now. Now let me ask you something. How many times have you started a new habit, felt motivated for a few days, maybe even a few weeks, and then life happened? You fell back into old patterns, old ways of thinking, old reactions to stress and challenges. The Stoics understood something profound about human nature. We are creatures of habit. But unlike modern habit formation that focuses on external behaviors, Stoic habits work from the inside out. They don't just change what you do, they transform who you are. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the ancient world, wrote in his personal journal, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Today, I'm going to share with you 7 Stoic habits that, when practiced consistently, will fundamentally change how you experience life. These aren't just theories. These are practices that helped emperors rule wisely, slaves find freedom in their minds, and ordinary people live extraordinary lives. Comment below right now. Which area of your life do you most want to transform? Relationships? Career? Inner peace? Let me know, because understanding your why will make these habits even more powerful. Habit 1. Morning reflection. Premeditatio Malorum. The first habit that will change your life is morning reflection, specifically a practice the Stoics called Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. Now, before you think this sounds negative or pessimistic, let me explain what this really is. This isn't about being paranoid or expecting the worst. It's about building psychological resilience by mentally preparing for challenges before they arise. Seneca wrote, "What is quite unlooked for is more crushing in its effect, and unexpectedness adds to the weight of a disaster." Here's how to practice this habit. Step 1. Set aside 10 minutes each morning. Find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. This could be before you check your phone, before coffee, or during your commute. Step 2. Visualize potential challenges. Think about your day ahead. What meetings do you have? What deadlines are approaching? What interactions might be difficult? Now, imagine things going wrong. Your presentation doesn't go as planned. Someone criticizes your work. Traffic makes you late. Your computer crashes. Step 3. Plan your response for each scenario. Ask yourself, how would a Stoic respond to this? Remember Epictetus' teaching. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Step 4. Find the opportunity in each potential setback. Look for the hidden opportunity. A criticism might help you improve. A delay might give you time to think more clearly. A rejection might redirect you towards something better. Let me give you a real example. Imagine you're preparing for an important job interview. Instead of just visualizing success, spend time imagining it doesn't go well. Maybe you're nervous and stumble over words. Maybe they ask a question you can't answer. Maybe they simply choose someone else. Now, how does this help? When you mentally rehearse these scenarios, you're doing 2 powerful things. First, you're reducing their emotional impact. Psychologists call this emotional inoculation. By experiencing the disappointment in your mind first, you build resilience for the real thing. Second, you're preparing responses. You might think, if I don't get this job, I'll ask for feedback to improve for next time. I'll remember that rejection often redirects us toward better opportunities. I'll use this experience to become a better interviewer. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every morning. He would remind himself that he might encounter difficult people, face unexpected challenges, or deal with his own mistakes. But he also reminded himself that these were opportunities to practice virtue, patience, wisdom, justice, and courage. The beautiful paradox of this practice is that by expecting difficulties, you often find that your day goes more smoothly than anticipated. And when challenges do arise, you're ready for them. This habit transforms you from someone who reacts emotionally to setbacks into someone who responds thoughtfully to opportunities. Habit 2. The evening review. If morning reflection prepares you for the day ahead, the evening review helps you learn from the day behind. This is perhaps the most transformative habit in the Stoic toolkit. Seneca wrote to his friend Lucilius, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine the whole day and go back over what I've done and said, hiding nothing for myself, passing nothing by." The evening review isn't about harsh self-judgment or dwelling on mistakes. It's about honest self-examination that leads to growth. Here's your evening review framework. Question 1. What went well today? Start with gratitude and acknowledgement. What did you handle skillfully? Where did you show virtue? What brought you joy or satisfaction? This isn't about ego. It's about recognizing growth and positive patterns. Question 2. What could I have done better? This is where the real learning happens. Where did you react instead of respond? When did emotions cloud your judgment? What opportunities did you miss to practice virtue? But here's the crucial part. Approach this with the curiosity of a scientist, not the judgment of a critic. You're gathering data, not condemning yourself. Question 3. What did I learn? Every experience, good or bad, contains lessons. What insights about yourself, others, or life did today reveal? How can you apply this wisdom tomorrow? Question 4. How did I serve something greater than myself? The Stoics believed we're all part of a larger whole. How did you contribute to your family, community, or humanity today? This question connects your daily actions to your deeper purpose. Let me share a personal example of how this works. Imagine you had a difficult conversation with a colleague that didn't go well. You got defensive, interrupted them, and left feeling frustrated. In your evening review, you might write, "What went well? I recognized I was getting emotional and try to take a breath. What could I have done better? I should have listened more and spoken less. I let my ego drive the conversation instead of seeking understanding." What I learned. When I feel attacked, my first instinct is to defend rather than understand. This usually makes things worse. How I served. Even though the conversation was difficult, I was honest about my perspective, which might help us work together better in the future. The power of this practice lies in its consistency. After just a few weeks, you'll start noticing patterns. You'll see which situations trigger certain reactions. You'll identify your growth areas and celebrate your progress. Marcus Aurelius filled 12 books with these kinds of reflections. They weren't meant for publication. They were his personal tool for becoming a better person. Today, we call them meditations, and they're considered one of the greatest works of philosophy ever written. The evening review transforms you from someone who simply experiences life into someone who learns from life. Each day becomes a lesson. Each challenge becomes a teacher, and each mistake becomes a stepping stone to wisdom. Habit 3. Focus on what you control. This third habit is perhaps the most fundamental principle of Stoicism, and mastering it will revolutionize how you approach every challenge in your life. Epictetus, who went from slave to one of history's greatest teachers, said, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." This simple statement contains the key to inner peace and effective action. The Stoics divided everything in life into 3 categories. Category 1. Things you completely control. These are your thoughts, judgments, decisions, and actions. Your response to events. Your effort and preparation. Your values and character. Category 2. Things you don't control at all. Other people's actions and opinions. The weather. The past. The ultimate outcome of your efforts. Your reputation. Natural disasters. The economy. Category 3. Things you influence but don't control. Your health. You can eat well and exercise, but can't guarantee perfect health. Your relationships. You can be loving and kind, but can't control how others respond. Your career success. You can work hard and smart, but can't control all the factors that determine outcomes. Here's how to practice this habit. Morning practice. The control check before starting any task or entering any situation. Ask yourself, what aspects of this situation do I control, and what aspects do I not control? For example, if you're giving a presentation, you control your preparation, your attitude, your delivery, your response to questions. You don't control the audience's reaction, technical difficulties, interruptions, the final decision. Focus your energy entirely on what you control. Throughout the day, the redirect technique: when you notice yourself feeling anxious, frustrated, or overwhelmed, pause and ask, am I focusing on something I can't control? If the answer is yes, redirect your attention to what you can control in that moment. Evening practice. The control review. During your evening reflection, ask, where did I waste energy on things I couldn't control today? Where did I effectively focus on what I could control? Let me give you a powerful example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic and late for an important meeting. The natural reaction is frustration, anxiety, maybe even anger at other drivers. But applying the control principle, you don't control the traffic, other drivers, the time you'll arrive. You do control your response to the situation, calling ahead to explain, using the time productively, listening to something educational, your attitude when you arrive. This shift in focus does something remarkable. Instead of arriving stressed and apologetic, you arrive calm and prepared. You've transformed a frustrating situation into an opportunity to practice patience and problem solving. Marcus Aurelius faced this challenge on a massive scale. As emperor, he dealt with plagues, wars, and political crises. He couldn't control these events, but he could control his response to them. This focus on what he could control helped him become one of history's most respected leaders. The beautiful thing about this habit is that it's immediately practical. You can start applying it right now, in whatever situation you're facing. Are you worried about a job interview? Focus on your preparation, not the outcome. Concerned about a relationship? Focus on being the best partner you can be, not on changing the other person. This habit transforms you from someone who feels like a victim of circumstances into someone who feels empowered to respond wisely to whatever life brings. Habit 4. Practice negative visualization. The fourth life-changing habit might seem counterintuitive in our positive thinking culture, but it's one of the most powerful tools for building resilience and gratitude. Negative visualization, or Premeditatio Malorum, is the practice of imagining the loss of things you value. This isn't pessimism, it's preparation and appreciation. Seneca explained it this way: set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, is this the condition that I feared? Why does this work? Reason 1. It builds resilience. When you mentally rehearse loss or setbacks, you reduce their emotional impact if they actually occur. You've already processed some of the grief, fear, or disappointment. Reason 2. It increases gratitude. By imagining life without the things you value, you appreciate them more deeply when you return to reality. Reason 3. It clarifies priorities. This practice helps you distinguish between what's truly important and what's merely convenient or comfortable. Here's how to practice negative visualization. Weekly practice. The loss exercise once a week. Spend 10 minutes imagining the loss of something you value. This could be your health, an important relationship, your job or career, your home, your abilities or skills. Don't just think about it intellectually. Really imagine how it would feel. What would change in your daily life? How would you adapt? What would you miss most? Daily practice. Temporary loss each day. Imagine that something you regularly enjoy is temporarily unavailable. Your morning coffee, your comfortable bed, your smartphone, your car. How would you adapt? What alternatives would you find? How might this limitation actually benefit you? Relationship practice. Loving as if for the last time. Epictetus taught. When you are going to meet with anyone, say to yourself, this may be the last time I see this person. This isn't morbid. It's a reminder to be fully present and appreciative in your relationships. Let me share how this might work in practice. Imagine you're frustrated with your job. You feel underappreciated, overworked, and underpaid. It's easy to focus on everything that's wrong. Now practice negative visualization. Imagine you lost this job tomorrow. Really picture it. No more steady income. No more health benefits. No more colleagues to interact with. No more sense of purpose from your work. What would you miss? Maybe the financial security, the routine and structure, certain colleagues you enjoy, the skills you're developing, the problems you get to solve. When you return to reality, you might find yourself more grateful for aspects of your job you've been taking for granted. This doesn't mean you should accept poor treatment or stop working toward better opportunities. But it helps you appreciate what you have while you have it. The Stoics practiced this with everything they valued. Marcus Aurelius would imagine losing his position as emperor. Seneca would imagine losing his wealth. Epictetus, having actually experienced slavery, understood deeply how quickly circumstances could change. This practice transforms you from someone who takes good things for granted into someone who deeply appreciates the gifts in your life. It also prepares you to handle loss with greater equanimity when it inevitably comes. Equanimity when it inevitably comes. Remember, the goal isn't to become pessimistic or fearful. It's to become resilient and grateful. You're not expecting bad things to happen. You're preparing to handle them wisely if they do. Habit 5. Embrace obstacles as opportunities. The fifth habit that will transform your life is learning to see obstacles not as problems to avoid, but as opportunities to grow. This is the essence of what modern Stoics call the obstacle is the way. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just philosophical poetry. It's a practical approach to turning setbacks into comebacks. The Stoic Obstacle Framework. Step 1. Perception. See clearly when you encounter an obstacle. Your first reaction often involves emotion: frustration, fear, anger, or disappointment. The Stoic approach is to pause and see the situation objectively. Ask yourself, what exactly is the obstacle? What assumptions am I making about it? How might this actually be helpful? What opportunities does this create? Step 2. Action. Respond wisely once you see clearly. Determine the best response. This might involve finding a creative solution, learning a new skill, building resilience, helping others who face similar challenges, discovering a better path. Step 3. Will accept and persist. Some obstacles can't be overcome quickly or easily. In these cases, the opportunity is to practice acceptance, patience, and persistence. Real-world applications. Career obstacles. Imagine you're passed over for a promotion you really wanted. The natural reaction is disappointment, maybe even resentment. The Stoic approach. Perception. This setback gives me information about what I need to improve. It also gives me more time to develop skills before taking on greater responsibility. Action. I'll ask for specific feedback, identify skill gaps, and create a development plan. I'll also look for other opportunities to demonstrate leadership. Will. I'll accept that career growth doesn't always follow my timeline, but I'll persist in becoming the best version of myself. Health obstacles. Suppose you're diagnosed with a chronic condition that limits your physical activities. The Stoic approach. Perception. This challenge will teach me about resilience, help me appreciate my body's capabilities, and possibly help me empathize with others facing similar struggles. Action. I'll learn everything I can about managing this condition, explore new forms of exercise, and perhaps connect with others who can benefit from my experience. Will. I'll accept what I cannot change about my health while taking full responsibility for what I can control. Relationship obstacles. Perhaps a close friendship ends in conflict and hurt feelings. The Stoic approach. Perception. This painful experience teaches me about communication, boundaries, and the impermanent nature of relationships. It also shows me what I value in friendships. Action. I'll reflect on my role in the conflict, learn better communication skills, and apply these lessons to other relationships. Will. I'll accept that not all relationships last forever, but I'll remain open to connection and continue working on being a good friend to others. the transformation process. This habit works by fundamentally changing your relationship with difficulty. Instead of seeing challenges as evidence that life is unfair or that you're unlucky, you begin to see them as training opportunities. Each obstacle makes you stronger and more skilled. Character builders. Difficulties reveal and develop your virtues. Course corrections. Sometimes obstacles redirect you toward better paths. Empathy developers. Your struggles help you understand and help others. Marcus Aurelius faced enormous obstacles. Plagues that killed millions, wars that threatened the empire, personal losses that broke his heart. But he used each challenge as an opportunity to practice philosophy, develop wisdom, and serve others. The obstacle becomes the way when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "How can I use this to become better?" This habit transforms you from someone who feels defeated by setbacks into someone who feels strengthened by them. You begin to approach challenges with curiosity rather than dread, knowing that each obstacle contains the seeds of growth. Habit 6. Live according to nature. The sixth habit that will change your life is learning to live according to nature, but not in the way you might think. For the Stoics, this doesn't mean living in the wilderness or rejecting technology. It means living in harmony with your essential nature as a rational, social being. Epictetus taught, "Every art and every faculty contemplates certain things as its principal objects." The Stoics believed that humans have a specific nature, just like every other living thing. A bird's nature is to fly, a tree's nature is to grow towards sunlight, and a human's nature is to use reason and live in community with others. Understanding human nature. We are rational beings, unlike other animals. We can think about our thinking. We can examine our beliefs, question our assumptions, and choose our responses. This capacity for reason is what makes us human. We are social beings. We're designed to live in community, to care for others, and to contribute to something larger than ourselves. Isolation and pure selfishness go against our nature. We are moral beings. We have an innate sense of right and wrong, justice and injustice. We feel fulfilled when we act virtuously and troubled when we act against our values. How to live according to nature. Practice 1. Use your reason before reacting emotionally to situations. Pause and think. What are the facts of this situation? What assumptions am I making? What would wisdom suggest? How can I respond in a way that aligns with my values? Practice 2. Serve the common good. Ask yourself daily, how can I contribute to my community today? This might mean being kind to a stranger, helping a colleague with a project, volunteering for a cause you care about, simply being a positive presence in your interactions. Practice 3. Develop your virtues. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues. Wisdom, seeking truth and understanding. Justice, treating others fairly and contributing to the common good. Courage, facing challenges with bravery and persistence. Temperance, practicing moderation and self-control. Make developing these virtues a daily practice. Practice 4. Accept your role in the larger whole. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Constantly regard the universe as one living being, having one substance and one soul." Recognize that you're part of something larger, your family, community, humanity, and the natural world. Your actions ripple outward and affect others. Practical applications. In your career, instead of just asking what's in it for me, ask, how does my work serve others? Find ways to make your job about more than just a paycheck. How can you help customers, support colleagues, or contribute to your organization's mission? In your relationships, practice seeing others as fellow human beings struggling with their own challenges, rather than as obstacles to your happiness. How can you be more understanding, supportive, and kind? In your daily choices, before making decisions, ask, does this choice align with my nature as a rational, social, moral being? This applies to everything from how you spend your free time, to how you treat service workers, to how you respond to political disagreements. The transformation. When you live according to your nature, several things happen. You feel more fulfilled. You're living in alignment with your deepest purpose. You make better decisions. You have clear criteria for choices. You feel more connected. You see yourself as part of a larger whole. You develop resilience. You're grounded in something stable and enduring. Marcus Aurelius, despite having unlimited power, chose to live according to nature. He used his reason to make wise decisions, served the common good even when it was difficult, and developed his character throughout his life. This habit transforms you from someone who lives reactively, driven by impulses and external pressures, into someone who lives intentionally, guided by wisdom and virtue. Living according to nature isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. It's about becoming more fully yourself in the best sense of what that means. Habit 7. Memento Mori. Remember your mortality. The seventh and final habit that will transform your life is perhaps the most profound. Regularly remembering that your time is limited. The Stoics called this Memento Mori. Remember you must die. This isn't meant to be morbid or depressing. It's meant to be liberating and clarifying. Seneca wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." Why? Remembering death changes everything. It clarifies priorities. When you truly understand that your time is limited, you naturally focus on what matters most. Petty concerns fade away. Important relationships become more precious. Meaningful work becomes more urgent. It reduces fear paradoxically. Thinking about death regularly reduces the fear of death. It also reduces fear of other losses, because you realize that everything is temporary anyway. It increases gratitude. Every day becomes a gift when you remember it's not guaranteed. Every experience becomes more vivid when you know it's finite. It motivates action. Procrastination becomes harder when you remember that someday might never come. How to practice Memento Mori. Daily reminder practice. Each morning, remind yourself, this could be my last day. Not to create anxiety, but to create intention. How would you spend today if you knew it was your last? Evening gratitude practice. Each night, reflect. I got to experience another day of life. What were you grateful for? What did you learn? How did you grow? Weekly reflection practice. Once a week, ask yourself, if I only had 1 year left to live, what would I change about how I'm spending my time? Monthly legacy practice. Once a month, consider, what legacy am I creating? How will I be remembered? What impact am I having? Practical applications. In relationships. When you remember that your time with loved ones is limited, you naturally become more present, more patient, more loving. Arguments about trivial matters seem less important. Expressions of love and appreciation become more frequent. In career, remembering mortality helps you focus on work that matters. You're less likely to stay in a job you hate just for security. You're more likely to pursue work that aligns with your values and contributes to something meaningful. In daily life, small moments become more precious. A beautiful sunset, a good conversation, a peaceful morning. These experiences gain depth when you remember they're finite. Addressing common concerns. Doesn't this make life depressing? Actually, the opposite is true. When you accept the reality of mortality, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter and start fully engaging with things that do. Doesn't this create anxiety? Initially, it might, but with practice, it creates peace. You stop fighting the fundamental nature of existence and start embracing it. Doesn't this make planning pointless? Not at all. It makes planning more intentional. You plan for the future while fully engaging with the present. The ultimate transformation. Marcus Aurelius, who had access to every pleasure and comfort the ancient world could offer, chose to spend his time developing his character and serving others. Why? Because he understood that his time was limited and he wanted to use it well. When you truly integrate the reality of mortality into your daily life, you experience a profound shift. You stop postponing happiness. You become more courageous in pursuing what matters. You become more compassionate toward others who are also facing mortality. You find peace in the present moment. You create a life of meaning rather than just pleasure. This habit transforms you from someone who lives as if you have unlimited time into someone who lives with the urgency and intentionality that comes from understanding life's preciousness. Remember, the goal isn't to become obsessed with death, but to become more alive. When you remember that your time is limited, you naturally make the most of the time you have. We've covered 7 powerful habits that have the potential to completely transform your life. Morning reflection, preparing mentally for the day's challenges. Evening review, learning from each day's experiences. Focus on what you control, directing energy where it can make a difference. Negative visualization, building resilience and gratitude. Embrace obstacles as opportunities, turning setbacks into growth. Live according to nature, aligning with your essential human nature. Memento Mori, remembering the preciousness of time. But here's the truth. Knowing these habits isn't enough. The Stoics weren't interested in theoretical knowledge. They were interested in practical wisdom that changes how you live. Your implementation strategy. Week 1 to 2. Start with one habit. Choose the habit that resonates most strongly with you right now. Practice it consistently for 2 weeks before adding another. Week 3 to 4. Add a second habit once the first habit feels natural. Add a second one. The morning and evening practices work particularly well together. Month 2. Integrate 3 habits by your second month. Aim to practice 3 habits regularly. Notice how they begin to reinforce each other. Month 3 and beyond. Full integration. Gradually incorporate all 7 habits. Remember, this is a lifetime practice, not a quick fix. Making it sustainable. Start small. Don't try to do everything perfectly from day 1. Even 5 minutes of morning reflection is better than none. Be consistent. It's better to practice imperfectly every day than perfectly once a week. Track your progress. Keep a simple journal noting which habits you practiced and how they affected your day. Find community. Connect with others who are interested in Stoic philosophy. Share your experiences and learn from theirs. Remember your why regularly. Remind yourself why you're developing these habits. What kind of person do you want to become? What kind of life do you want to live? The Stoic promise. The Stoics made a remarkable promise. If you practice these principles consistently, you will develop what they called ataraxia, unshakable inner peace. You'll still face challenges, losses, and setbacks, but you'll face them with wisdom, courage, and equanimity. You'll become someone who remains calm under pressure, finds opportunity in every obstacle, appreciates what you have while you have it, focuses energy on what matters most, lives with purpose and intention, treats others with kindness and justice, faces uncertainty with courage. This isn't just about personal development. It's about becoming the kind of person the world needs more of. Here's what I want you to do right now. First, choose one habit from today's video that you'll start practicing tomorrow. Write it down. Make it specific. Commit to it. Second, leave a comment below telling me which habit you chose and why. I read every comment, and I want to support you on this journey. Third, if this video provided value to you, please hit that like button. It helps the YouTube algorithm share this content with others who might benefit from these ancient wisdom teachings. Fourth, subscribe to Daily Stoic Insights and ring that notification bell. We're building a community of people committed to living with wisdom, virtue, and purpose. Every subscriber helps us reach more people who can benefit from Stoic philosophy. Finally, share this video with someone who might benefit from these habits. Maybe it's a friend going through a difficult time, a family member working on personal growth, or a colleague interested in philosophy. When you share wisdom, you multiply its impact. Remember what Marcus Aurelius wrote: "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." These 7 habits are your tools for transforming your way of thinking and therefore your entire life. The ancient Stoics believed that philosophy isn't something you study, it's something you live. Starting today, you have the opportunity to live these principles and experience their transformative power. Thank you for joining me on Daily Stoic Insights. Until next time, remember, You have everything you need within you to live a life of wisdom, virtue, and inner peace. The question isn't whether these habits work. The question is whether you'll work them. Your transformation starts now.